Having a little late spring shower, and there's a beautiful rainbow. I don't know if the phone, there's probably a setting that would pick it up a little bit better, but you can't see the full arc of the rainbow, but I can see at the beginning of the rainbow all the spectra. I can see from the ultraviolet side all the way to the red. And that's pretty cool. Now the rainbow has all kinds of significance. As a scientific phenomenon, it's such a beautiful thing to see the atmosphere acting as a big light prism. You know, we can do this with a little glass prism, or there's other ways to get the light to fractionate out like that. But essentially, just like we can separate out things, all kinds of things. We call it fractionation when we split things up into constituent parts. But with light, what's so interesting about light, it's a form of energy, but it has also properties that we can say are particle or like matter. But it's the photon is a massless particle, and it comes in quanta. That's where the word quantum and quantum mechanics is first derived from, I believe, is in the light quanta. So Einstein, who wasn't a massive supporter of quantum mechanics, was also one of the founding, I guess you could say, fathers of quantum mechanics. So it's a little bit of irony in that, and I probably am not completely explaining that correctly, but he did all kinds of things. He had a great paper on I think the photoelectric effect, something like that. And so he was just thinking about all sorts of things. But the light in the rainbow, the different colors in the rainbow, that's the different wavelengths of light. We see them as different colors. That's how our eye perceives, which is so interesting in and of itself. The biology of our eye and of our brain and of our nervous system. Because you got to think that those light waves hit our eyes, and our eyes have developed to be able to distinguish between those light patterns by the way they hit the cones and rods or whatnot. And there's other neurons in our eyes and photoreceptors that more than just the cones and rods, or there's different kinds of cones and rods, or however you want to think about it. But yeah, so that's how as the light comes through the atmosphere, the wavelengths get separated out by by the prismatic effect of the atmosphere, but it's the water, the moisture in the atmosphere. And that's why you see the rainbow apparently only on one side. You only are supposed to see the rainbow, I believe, on the trailing side of the rain cloud, because of the way the light comes through the atmosphere. And there's probably some exceptions for that, but that also gets into the different parables about the rainbow and everything that it represented to mankind through the years. And pretty much every civilization has some version of the Great Flood, that Noah's Ark, the Great Flood. And Noah was at Mount Ararat, or I'm probably not saying that correctly, but it's in the modern day Turkey. And I think there's pretty good evidence that they found Noah's Ark. There was a really good documentary done on it. The problem is that it's kind of closed off. The guy that worked on it, he was a Western guy, and then he worked on it for quite a number of years. But he had a really good story going, and then he, I think Turkey kind of closed it off as a special place, not to be disturbed or whatnot. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, the earth and people have experienced many floods, and certainly some great flood occurred, and there was recorded in history. And Noah was forewarned by God of the flood, and he prepared for it, and that was that story. But it's in many other places as well, where like in I think South America, they've got the story of a great flood. And did all of that happen at one time around the world, or did it happen, or was there a period of time on earth where there was particularly a lot of flooding? We just came out of the ice age, and people lived, the mammoths and all those big animals, they were all megafauna during the peak of the last ice age. And technically we're still in the tail end of an ice age. There's still glaciation, and that's pretty much what signifies an ice age. So so anyhow, the world had a lot of ice, and human beings were alive during this period of time. And so it stands to reason, as we have fluctuations in temperatures, that it was the setting was right for there to be a lot of massive flooding because of so much ice, potentially to break free and to melt. And we have evidence of massive, major floods, even here in North America. Up in this, I think the Pacific Northwest, there's a region that's indicative of a huge flood where just the ice dams broke and just let massive amounts of water through at one time. And that was not in that distance of the past. I don't know how far back, but you can look it up. And so the rainbow coming after these great floods, and people may be experiencing floods of all different periods of time. Maybe it's just that when you're living on the land, and we didn't have the kind of shelter maybe that we have today, and the kinds of transportation and the weather satellites and those sorts of things to prepare. That's not to say that we don't suffer from major floods today too. You can still have tsunamis and things like that just come very fast, and we've had several of those just in the last decade or so, and they've caused great damage. But people would see that rainbow at the end of the storm, and as it's so important to have faith and gratitude for life, and that there's this circle of life, and that that the rainbow signifies the end of a storm, and it has a lot of other significance and symbolism too. But it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's gone now. So I love you.